doing something like this, I always remember my old gym days back in the city. Oh, I don't miss those. Uh, this is a much better exercise. So last week we had that good downpour. It was really good downpour. It was around 4 inches, give or take 200 millimeters in less than a day. It's really overnight, around 12 hours or so. And I've been waiting to see a good downpour here. I mean, it doesn't rain here in the summer. Last time it rained must have been early July, and even that wasn't anything really special. But now I get to see how the water flows through the property here. So last week I connected the last downspout, the second downspout of the outbuilding, to the pond, to the duck pond, because my plan is to harvest as much rainwater from the roofs as possible and direct it to the pond, to the duck pond. So now I'm connecting the downspout of the lean-to, of the cabano, because just from that rain last week, it really rutted the ground here. It was a lot of water. So it's gonna rain tomorrow and Wednesday also a little bit, I don't know how much. But I wanna see this water already flowing to the duck pond. I will leave a connector here for connecting the roof of the house and the roof of the wraparound porch to this line here that is gonna then take it to the pond. It's a pretty big tube. I don't know how much water it can take. I'll be keeping an eye on that. So I'm installing a T here so that the trough, which is now a sink, but it used to be the animal drinking trough from the homestead, from here, from my grandparents' animals, which I thought was a stone because it was upside down there where the lean-to is, and I totally thought it was a stone. And I asked the Luis, the excavator guy, to take it out of there before I put the roof on the lean-to, because then it would be really hard to move a stone of this size. And when he moved it over, I realized it was a drinking trough. I had totally forgotten about this thing, but it's coming back to me where this thing was, and we broke it a little bit, but it can be repaired. It's been repaired in the past. There's a couple of patches of cement, but it's in good shape. It's a beautiful trough. So the trough essentially is going to drain out. There's not going to be wash anything. It's just fresh water's always coming down, because it doesn't rain here in the summer, and so there will be no rainwater collection that's going to go to the duck pond. So the duck pond will dry up in the summer. So the idea is that I'm going to bring the water from the spring down at the bottom with a small pump. So it's going to continuously move water up to the gravity irrigation tank that sits at the highest level, pretty much, of the whole property. And so in order not to stop the pump every time the tank is full, I also don't want the water to sit there. So I want always fresh water to move into the tank. Always continuously moving water. And so obviously the tank would overflow. And in order not to have to stop the pump when the tank is full, I created a system where there's an overflow that essentially always continuously lets water out of the tank at the same time as the water's coming in. So where that water is going is essentially coming to this trough. The water is going to continuously come to the trough, to the sink, and then from the sink also continuously flow out to the duck pond. And hopefully that way the pond doesn't dry up in summer. The ground here is very porous right now, but in time the ducks will seal the pond. That happens. And hopefully we can keep some water in the pond so that the ducks can be happy ducks. I don't know if you guys ever seen ducks that don't have a pond or a tub or a pool. They're just sad, dirty, unhappy looking ducks. I want my ducks to be happy. Hey, buddy. Yeah? You like happy ducks too? What do you want? What's the matter? You okay? Huh? More? What's up? What was that snooze of yours? Huh? What do you say? We have some lunch. Or me. You have dinner. Good idea? All right, let's go. I have to chip away at the corner of the footing of the building here because it's in the way of the tube going up. I know that people have been asking about my abilities to do different things, and what I did before coming here in Canada. Long story short, I think we can divide my professional life in kind of two stints. The later one is 10 years. The previous one is 25 years. So 10 years ago, I decided to move out of the city and completely change my life. So for the last 10 years, I like to tell people that I was a farmer. I moved to a rural area, some 3 hours from the city of Toronto, and I started an organic farm. It was a small farm, it's 10 acres, but I wanted it to be like in the old days. It was also an abandoned farm homestead that I rebuilt. I joke that I spent the last 10 years rebuilding somebody else's grandparents' homestead. And now I'm here to rebuild my own. So yeah, it was a 10 acre small farm. But I like to call it a biodiverse farm because we had everything. We had a market garden, about 2 acres of it. And we had just about every farm animal you can imagine. We had chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, guinea fowl. We had a lovely flock of sheep. We had up to close to 30. We had pigs. We had 2 lovely sows. They really produce a lot of piglets for us. We also had a cow, a lovely Jersey cow. She gave us a couple of calves over time. Yeah, I missed the milk of that cow. Single cow milk. And I miss making cheese. It was one of my favorite things to make with her milk. Anyway, prior to that, the previous 25 years, I was in the automotive sector. In my early 20s, I started an automotive business. And that's kind of what was the easy thing for me. We grew up in an automotive shop. My dad had an automotive shop here in Portugal before my parents moved to Canada. So it was kind of the easy thing to do for me. But it wasn't my calling. I developed a love for food, for cooking. In the meantime, I was very curious about where the food comes from, how it's made, how it's produced, how it's grown. And that led me to leaving the city and the automotive business and transition to the agricultural sector, which is where the food comes from. Yeah, I love cooking, I love hosting. It's the fun stuff, it's the fun part of the work, is when you take your ingredients and you make them into delicious meals and snacks and treats. Oh, the treats, yeah, the prosciutto, the cheese, chorizo, pate. Yeah, that's the fun stuff. Yeah, so that kind of summarizes it. I'm also very curious. I'm one up for a challenge. I like to try new things. I like to do a lot of different things. I don't really enjoy doing the same thing many times. Actually, I don't like it at all. But I like to do a lot of things. And I'm a real believer that if somebody out there can do it, I can learn it and I can do it as well. Yeah. Testy time. I'd like to get all the water that I put up there out. That would mean that there's no dips along the way, and those dips can accumulate dirt and leaves and that kind of thing, and eventually cause a problem. It's soapy because I've used dish detergent to lubricate the rubber seals. Shouldn't use oils to lubricate rubber. Some rubber is resistant to oils, but a lot of rubber isn't and will get damaged and dissolve over time. I think I got all the water out. Most of it, anyway. Yeah. My friend Agostinho gave me some grapes that he didn't harvest, so I borrowed the equipment from my other friend Paulo, who I helped last week on his grape harvest. And I'm going to make some wine for ourselves. You know, the last time I did this was exactly in this spot. Yeah, I must have been like 10 years old. Yeah. The smell in these barrels even reminds me of that. Yeah, these barrels smell very, I mean, I find it very comforting. Wrong.
What?
This is the wrong way.
How way is
This
it?
is the bottom side, actually. Turn around. Yeah.
Actually, there's no sand.
No. Okay.
Except for on my hands. Now I have to change my shirt. We're gonna be
Oh my goodness.
on.
We're just going to harvest grapes, not going to the fashion runway.
We were just on the fashion runway.
What? In the vineyard?
No, when we were walking through the thing, the terrace.
Oh, that's the fashion runway?
Yeah.
Oh. We're going to test if the aguardiente is pretty strong, but traditionally you... Yeah, strong. Siga, este é de quando? Está doce. Oh. Mm-hmm. Beauty. My goodness. So this is a native variety from this region. It's called Espadeiro. Translated means something like he who has the sword, and it's because it has this little branch off to the side here, like the sword on the side of the warrior. So it characterizes this particular variety. It's not very inky. It's inky enough, but not too inky. There's other varieties that are more inky than this one. And I believe it's found only in the Minho region, in the Vinho Verde region. enough. Where I can see that. Potential alcohol. 10, oh, over 10%. Pretty good. Just over 10. 10. Okay, what's that? 1, 2, 3, it's 11. Like 10.5. Pretty good. Not bad for Vinho Verde. 10.5. That's a good year. No, the birds did eat quite a bit. Open it up and you'll see. Okay, look, this husk is all moldy. And look how nice the corn is.
No, the corn inside was moldy.
That's okay, we'll sort it out after.
Alabaster.
All right, corn is safe from the rain. Right? Right? It smells great. Wow. To mix it twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. As it ferments, the skins rise to the top, and for good tannin and flavor extraction, you mix the skins back down. So, this one hasn't really started fermenting yet. It was cool overnight. So it looks like we make about, oh, I don't know, between these two, this is about 250 liters. Of course, there's skins and stems there. And this is a 50-liter pot. I guess maybe it's possible to be making here close to 200 liters of wine. Over 150 for sure. Pretty good. What? A ripe Medronho. Training out, might as well prepare the equipment to make apple cider. It looks like it's gonna be rainy next week, most days. The apples don't really mind, and they'll be nice and washed. So I'm just preparing the apple crusher. I have a motor that's a little too powerful for it, so, and it will draw more power than I want it to. So I'm switching it with a 3/4 horsepower. There's no need for a 1.5 horsepower motor to crush apples.
work.